So one of the issues that we've been having with our Class A motorhome is that these rear leveling jacks have been just taking a long time to retract. I've been able to make them go up a little bit faster, nice and smooth, by just keeping this area here clean, wiped down, and I also lubricated a little bit with this hydraulic oil before I retract them once it's clean, and that seems to have made an improvement. You know, these are the original hardware on the springs especially. My guess is that they're just old and tired. I've been carrying these replacements around with me for the last few months, but just procrastinating and not getting it done. So I'm going to take care of it today. It's obviously a project that a lot of people have done. It's a DIY thing, but I've never done it, so I think I have a plan in place. Let's go ahead and get started with replacing these springs. See how it goes. So I picked up these replacement springs from HWH. I went on their website, and they have a little web page that helps you pick the right replacement ones. And sometimes you just count the number of coils here, and you find something that's fairly close. I think the coils on mine were like 60, and this one might be like 58. 59 coils, so it's the closest thing that they had for our 2003 model RV. So that's how old the springs are that I'm replacing. So it comes in a pack of 2. I ordered 4 for the RV. I should have ordered 8 because since then I haven't been able to find any more of this particular one, and I would have liked to do all 8 springs, but at least I have 4. I can do the rear springs in the coach. So that's the plan. I also picked up some just regular shims that you get from Home Depot or Lowe's and your hardware store for just shimming up doors and windows and that sort of thing. So I'm going to use them as spacers to spread these coils apart. Hopefully that works out, and hopefully I have enough to get enough spacing to get these spread apart enough to get them mounted. Well, the first step is to crawl under here with the jacks extended with a pile of shims, and I got a mixture of wooden ones too because I realized I didn't have enough, and I cut a few more. So what we want to do is stuff these in here. The more the merrier. I found it about 10 to 15 of them is about the right number, so that when we collapse these, it's gonna keep the springs longer and we'll be able to remove the springs. So notice I'm putting them in here this way because the spring's gonna contract this way, and you don't want them to get hung up on this piece here, this wall. So you want them to be sideways. And I'm just alternating side by side like that. That's where shims seem to be working pretty nice for me. Just gonna do this on both sides. I'm gonna focus more on the bottom part here because it's gonna compress, and you don't want stuff way up here at the top. So it's gonna have more clearance here on the bottom. So I'm just gonna stuff these shims in here until I get up to about here. So the new spring's actually going to take a few more of these because it's not as relaxed as this. Plus, it has a fewer coils in it. So I'm going to need to expand the new spring a little bit more. But 10 to 12 or 13 of these for this guy might be just fine, and enough to get this spring off. See, it's pretty loose. Put one more in. That should do it for this guy. I'll do the other side. All right, now I've got these shims on both sides here. Gonna drop, or gonna raise the jacks, and the idea here is that these are gonna compress, but not this part, and we'll be able to see that this will be loose enough, and we'll be able to remove it. And what I'm also going to do is run back here while it's coming up and just kind of guide these in, because once it gets to these bolts and stuff, it might get caught up. So I'm just going to maneuver it around there just to make sure nothing gets caught. There it goes. Alright. See how it's helpful to have these side by side? There you go. And what's probably going to happen is it's going to get caught up about here because I'm going to lose spring strength, and when we get there I'm just going to use a jack to help it along the rest of the way. So I used the car jack to get these jacks the last couple inches up because the spring kind of lost its strength. So now the jack's fully recessed, and you can see that the foot here is completely loose. So now I can just remove it and take these springs off. Unhook them easily like that. There's one, and there's the other. So now I got the base off, and then there's one spring, and we got the second spring. All right, they're off. So here's the old springs, and we got to remove the shims from them, and to do that we can bend it, but they're still kind of rough, or we can pull it apart. So this tip comes from a guy named Randy McNerlin. Had the best way to do this, and we're going to reuse this tip when we actually put the shims in the new springs as well. So let me show you how that's going to work. We're going to use our car and just a tie down strap. All right, now I already have the tie down strap hooked to the hitch of the RV, and I'm just going to hook in one end here and the other end to the other tie down strap that's hooked to the tow bracket on the car. How easy is that? Take this spring off, and now we can put on the new spring. So in order to do that, I need to put probably a few more shims in the new springs. Basically the same process except backwards. So I'm going to stretch out the new springs and then put in probably about 15 or so of these shims to get that ready to load up onto the jack. Looking good. And we got one ready to go. I'm just coming in here to hook this one up just to see if I have enough length here. I actually might need a little bit more, we'll see. No, actually that should do it. Yeah, it's gonna fit. Spring number 2 here, so I'm gonna go ahead and hang that guy. All right. Is that in there? It is. All right. Everything up, and hang this little foot guy on there again, like so. And get it in the hole here. There we go. Easy peasy. Check that out. Now everything looks good. I'm gonna go ahead and extend the jacks just a little bit, just so I make sure that this little ball is lined up nice and perfect before I fully extend them. Okay. Well, one of these hooks at the top here was slightly out of the hole, just out of the hole a little bit, so pushed it back up just a tad. Make sure it's seated in there nice and neat. All right, now I can go ahead and extend this. Everything looks good. Let's keep going. All right, we got the new springs installed. Pretty cool. Now, definitely that car pulling and extending the spring tip, that was a game changer. I tried to do that manually before, and yeah, it wasn't happening. It was definitely going to be a long, painful process. So I'll link to that guy's video if you want to check it out too, because that tip was super helpful. But if you also have some other tips, if you've done this yourself and got some lessons learned, please share those in the comments. I look forward to seeing what you have to say. And yeah, if you like this video, if it was helpful, give it a thumbs up, and yeah, share it with somebody who maybe has some old, worn out springs as well. So take it easy, and I'll see you in the next one.